Hello and welcome back to the Quad Life. Well, you never know what's going to happen in a week, and since the last video went up, and even before that, it's had some updates in my life to say the least. So the last video went out a week ago Friday, and I had recorded it on the previous Tuesday. Well, the day after I recorded it, my night nurse saw that my button was maybe sinking in again. So we looked at it Thursday and thought it looked okay, but after more concern, then on Friday, called my doctor to see what was going on. Alright, sorry about that. My body is not being cooperative today, and being here on the bike is not happy for some reason, but we don't know why. But I'm doing this video anyway. So on last Friday, when the video went out, which I actually debated about letting it release or not, but I did. I talked to my doctor a number of times, but it was the day that he was in surgery, so he couldn't come and see me in the office. But we got it arranged that I would go up to Des Moines and meet him in the emergency room of the hospital that he was working at. Not ideal, but you gotta do things sometimes. So went all the way up to Des Moines and got there as quickly as we could and got checked in about 1:30 or so. And we waited and waited and kept waiting more. Got to the point that Joy's time here was about up for the day. So I called my dad, and he came up to Des Moines and relieved Joy here. And then Dad and I waited. Finally, about 5:30, so 4 hours after I got there, my doctor showed up in the waiting room. Said, "How long have you been here?" And I said, "Well, since about 1:30. Apparently no one had told him I was there, and we were both mutually waiting on each other. So after about another 10 minutes or so, I got back to her room. He looked at my button and thought it wasn't too bad, but thought maybe the skin around it needed to heal more or close up. So he put some little bandage around it called Duoderm, and after taking the button in and out a couple times, it was really sore to say the least, but we thought we had a solution. So that was all fine and good, and therefore Dad and I came back home, picked up a pizza on our way back, got home and got out of the van, and I was sitting over here at the kitchen counter eating supper with my parents, and noticed I had a hard time talking, and it sounded like air was escaping around my button every time I spoke. Well, Dad got to looking at it, and the only thing that was keeping my button in place was my shirt. That it was completely out of my neck and would have just blown out onto the floor if I didn't have a shirt on. or one that didn't cover the button. So here we are at the kitchen counter, and I have to tilt back and let Dad try to get this button back in that he isn't really familiar with at all, which none of us really are that much, because, you know, it doesn't go in and out that much. But he took the dressing off that was around my neck, and that fixed it. And he was able to get it back in. So after several hours of waiting for the doctor and everything, well, it ended up not doing anything. And Friday night, we were right back where I started Friday morning. So, yeah, that's the thing about the quad life. You never know what to expect. Then this past Sunday, I also preached in the evening at a local church. And since I've been messing with the button, I've been needing to suction a bit more. And of all the times I've been preaching in nearly 6 years now, I never had much of a problem with suctioning. Well, until this time. I was the person doing the entire service, all except for the congregational prayer. And just before we left, I thought there was a little bit of junk in my lungs, but thankfully not much. And the doctor said the more we suction and take the plug in and out from my button, then the more problems we're going to have, at least in the first couple of weeks here. So I really didn't want to suction for a tiny little bit, and figured it would be okay. Well, that was not good thinking. So I started off the service all right, and didn't have much of a problem. And then there were a couple songs that, you know, I said where to find them, and then that's all I have to do. But during them, I was kind of choking and doing my thing of that, bringing up junk from my lungs. And it just kept getting worse and worse. So I then had a half-hour-long sermon where I'm the one talking. And I had several points that I had to stop a couple seconds and try to cough and be able to breathe again. I thought I was doing absolutely horrible, because here I am trying to concentrate even how to breathe, let alone remember what I'm trying to say for my message. My parents said I did okay, and the few from the congregation said they liked the message as well. But it was the most struggle I've ever had for a message, at least so far. I kept waiting, you know, for someone else to take over and speak, but there wasn't anyone. So I was very glad that the preacher didn't go too long, because I was glad to get home and finally get my lungs cleared out. So thankfully, I haven't had as much trouble since then, but in a couple of days, or the day, or yesterday for when this video is going to come out, I'm going to see my doctor again and see if there's anything else that we can do, or just keep waiting. But that's the way it is for the quad life, and what I'm going through right now. So my voice is getting shaky, and body is not too happy, so I'm going to leave it at that for now. But thanks for watching, and have a good day. See you later.